ये जनाब जो स्पेशल रिपोर्ट है इसमें हम आपको बता दें कि जो बिसीज नॉर्दर्न गाजा है वहां पे सर्वाइवर्स वो कह रहे हैं जी इतनी बुरी हालत हो चुकी है, हॉस्पिटल्स के अंदर मेडिसिन नहीं है कि दे आर ब्लीडिंग टू डेथ। इसके अलावा आमिर जो सबसे ज्यादा रोने की बात है वो ये है रोने की बात कि लोगों की लाशें सड़कों पे आमिर पड़ी हुई हैं और कुत्ते खा रहे हैं उन लाशों को कुत्ते खा रहे हैं अकॉर्डिंग टू अल जजीरा। उनको दफना नहीं ये सक रहे हैं। हजारों पैलेस्टीनियंस जो हैं उनको मारा जा चुका है। कॉन्स्टेंटली उनके हॉस्पिटल्स के ऊपर बम्बार्डमेंट हो रही है, स्कूल्स के ऊपर बम्बार्डमेंट हो रही है, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी नहीं है, पानी नहीं है, और वहां पे जो फंक्शंस हैं वहां उसके हॉस्पिटल के वो तकरीबन खत्म हो चुके हुए हैं। औरतें जो हैं यानी आप सोचें अफसोस की बात यह है कि उनके पास पैड्स तक नहीं है कि वो कैसे यूज करें ड्यूरिंग जो अपने पीरियड्स हैं उनके बीच में। वो सोचें जरा वो किस हालत में रह रहे हैं। हमारे साथ जुड़ गई हैं पैलेस्टीनियन जो यहाँ पे चीफ हैं, उनका नाम अभी मैंने आपको बताया, मोना अबू अमारा। उनके साथ हम बात करते हैं और उनसे हम एग्जैक्टली पूछते हैं और फिर उसके बाद हम आपको ये सारे आंकड़े जो हैं ये सारे सुनाएंगे कि इस वक्त तक क्या कुछ गाजा के अंदर हो चुका हुआ है। हेलो मोना, हाउ आर यू?
Good. How are you?
Okay, we're so good to see you. You're so good to see you. Okay, my dear, please tell us exactly now at the moment what is the ground situation there in Gaza. I mean, of course, we know some of the, the news that we get on daily basis, but of course, because your families, your relatives are there, so you would be able to give us a better picture.
So if we go to families and friends that are on the ground, the first message that they send to everyone is that no matter how much of the gravity you see on TV or you hear, it's nothing compared to what is actually happening on the ground. It's a nightmare. It's a monster that has been created by impunity for decades by the West and the free world in general, and now no one can stop it. It's a monstrous, evil machine that is committing genocide on the ground. And unfortunately, it's been 365 days and counting of live stream genocide while the world is watching. Israel is bombing everything that it sees in sight, claiming under the pretext of security, claiming that it gets to do no matter what it comes to its mind. It's not sparing children, women, the elderly. We have famine. We have polio that was going around, epidemics, diseases, starvation, all these horror stories that are happening on the ground, and no one is able or willing to stop this madness and hold Israel to account.
Okay. Mona, my dear, the problem with the Muslim world is that they definitely are just paying lip service. Nobody has vehemently said that, this massacre and this genocide should stop. However, West that talks too much about the crimes against humanity and human rights, who give us lectures on all these things, is also absolutely blind. Even today, they have pulled up Hungary, the European Union have pulled up Hungary, saying that the human rights are not right in their country. And why Hungary is standing with Russia? Because Russia is an invader in Ukraine. However, they fail to see that Israel also is an invader in Palestine. So my question is that on one side, the West is absolutely deaf, dumb, blind, but we also cry for the Muslim world that has not taken any concrete steps. What do you have to say about this?
So at this point, we are trying to actually concentrate on international law. We have been pushing for the implementation of, as you said, what the free world has been preaching to all the uncivilized states, that it sees. At this point, we realize that it sees as lesser people because Palestinians for sure feel that their lives are not as worthy or as valued as other lives that we know of. And we know that the world has intervened in so many ways in the Ukraine-Russia issues. We saw all the tools and all the ways that they can help. At this point, I know that the Arab and Muslim world stood in one position, stating that they are all rooting for peace, and saying that at the end of the day, Israel is the one that is declining that and claiming that it's for its own security, while it's the only threat on the ground to other countries that is bombing indiscriminately. At this point, we're seeing in Lebanon, in Syria, in Iraq, and now it might lead the world into a regional war as well. So at some point, this needs to be stopped, and I think that it should come from those who shield and protect Israel and has done so for the past decades. The impunity needs to end, and we need to hold it to account based on the international resolutions, on the ICJ advisory opinion, and every single piece of law that Israel should not be above.
Okay, I have some reports from the international media, and they say that at least 96% of the population in Gaza is at the verge of not just starvation, but worst starvation. They don't have water, they don't have food. Do you have any information if from any side Israel is letting food, medicines, and essentials to enter Gaza?
So the international community is trying, the international organizations have been trying and reporting the dire situation, and reporting that not even a drop in the bucket, 2% of what the people under these situations need is being allowed to get into Gaza. So that's why it's accumulating. And Israel is claiming that this is not happening. Even a few days ago, I went on to an interview on CBC, and the apartheid and genocide ambassador came before me and told the reporter, you spoke to me a few months ago about a famine and about disease, and there's nothing like that happening on the ground. There is just an utter out of reality situation with Israel that it claims that it's doing everything that the court has ordered it, while it prevents everything to reach children, women, elderly, those people. 2.3 million civilians are in this dire situation with nothing to hold on to.
Okay. Can you please tell us, we know that most of the hospitals, most of the health clinics, most of the schools have been absolutely devastated, but what is your report? What are your families or your relatives are telling you about the healthcare system? I mean, of course, education, talking about education doesn't make any sense at the moment because it's a war zone, but what is the condition of healthcare? Because a lot of doctors have died, a lot of nurses, facilities management staff has died over there. So are the hospitals somewhat working? Because I have report that patients are bleeding to death there.
So we only have 17 out of 36 hospitals partially functional. It's not even fully functional. And the hospitals are not only used right now as hospitals, it's also looked at as shelter place for people who don't know where to go because there's no place that is safe, and they feel that at least hospitals should be a place to be in. I know from my personal stories of friends and family that if someone is injured, the whole family tries to go with that injured person so they won't stay on the streets and at least have a roof over their head and be together and not start losing family members and not know where they're going to see them again. So we have a dire medical situation on the ground, no resources. The doctors are overwhelmed. They're scared for their lives. We have had kidnappings that have happened to a lot of doctors, and they went through hell in prisons. We are seeing a very, very egregious way of torture and rape and murder in prisons because there's impunity and lack of accountability. So yes, it's a dire medical situation, and we wish that countries like Canada would be one that interferes in such a way to provide a safe place for people to even just get the medical attention they deserve.
Okay, I also have heard that something like 160,000 breastfeeding women don't have access to proper food. They need some supplements. Similarly, there are something like 50,000 kids who are undernourished. So again, my question to you is, I'm going back to my second question once again. Do you have any news that Israel is letting the food and medicine convoys inside Gaza, or they do not have access to these things even now?
As I told you, it's very the lack of proper route for those safe arrivals for the convoys to get medical supplements, resources, and food into Gaza. It's a drop in the bucket. You might find one day that there are a couple of trucks that are allowed, but in general, the percentage is 2% of what the people actually need, and that's why operations are made without anesthetics and anesthesia, and people are experiencing even higher level of symptoms and reactions because they don't have the proper way to deal with even less severe wounds that would be otherwise treated very easily. So no, Israel is not allowing proper route for people to get food or medical resources. They lack everything, all the needs of the medications. We have 17% of lack of medication, and 83% of supplies are lacking in hospitals.
Oh, my goodness, I couldn't even imagine. You just said that the operations are being done without giving anesthesia. I was about to faint when I heard this thing, what you said. Okay, at the moment, what is the what outcome do you see in the coming days? Do you think ceasefire will eventually come? Although a full generation of Palestinians have been killed. It was a proper genocide that took place. Israel recently celebrated Yom Kippur. Are they repenting? Are Jews repenting? Or the Jews across the globe telling Netanyahu to stop this? What do you see in future? Do you see a better thing, a better outcome in the coming days? Because now we have also heard that a lot of bilateral travel also has stopped. Yoav Gallant had to go to US and meet Mr. Austin, and Lloyd Austin had to come from US to meet, but those visits also have cancelled. So 2-3 things I'm asking you. Yom Kippur that they just celebrated, are they repenting? Are Jews across the globe asking Netanyahu to stop? And what is the impact of these cancelled trips? Or did they have any significance at all?
The first two things concerning the Jewish communities, first and foremost, we as Palestinians see that this is a problem to associate anything regarding the Jewish community with our struggle, because that's what Netanyahu has tried to link forever, just pretending to be protecting the Jewish communities by oppressing the Palestinians, because our struggle has nothing to do with religion or ethnicity. It's about oppression, occupation, and apartheid, and now genocide. That is one thing, and the other, we have a lot of Jewish organizations, a lot of them doing one of the most amazing accomplishments to help us show the world what our struggles means. They lead in the US and in Canada to put themselves in that position as self-hating Jews sometimes in front of some of the pro-Israeli Zionist lobby. So yeah, we couldn't thank them enough for spreading our narrative and and the real reality of what's happening. When it comes to the U.S., I think that we already know the support of the U.S. to the unconventional one, and it does not matter what Israel does. The U.S. will always be supporting it because it's part of its whole vision of the world, and it doesn't want anything to affect it. So by default, not to affect its occupation on the ground. So unfortunately, we see now that no one, after creating that monster, has an effect on the machine of genocide that has been created due to impunity, as we say. So we hope that the U.S. at some point realizes that it needs to show its ally that that's enough, and no more support would be given, because it's putting everybody else in a position as if they support such atrocities, and it's becoming much harder to ignore them as time goes. So I hope those meetings actually bring sense to Netanyahu, although I doubt, because his personal aspirations to run away
not only his personal aspirations, but also because there are a lot of corruption charges on him, so he just wants to keep people busy in war so that he doesn't go to jail for the rest of his life. So it is all the matter of his own survival. Okay, Mona, thank you very much for your comments. My just last, absolute, very, very last question would be, what is your message, and how do you see the morale of the Palestinians? I mean, it's a very difficult question to ask you in this situation, but still I just thought I will ask you, because the war seems to be spreading, and you might have realized that the Iranian foreign minister now is either in Saudi or in Qatar. He is talking to all of them to stop this war, and as you said earlier, the war is spreading now to Syria and Yemen and Iran and Lebanon. So what is your last message, and what is the morale of the Palestinians?
So what we know, that out of all of this evil, the true face of Israel has been shown to the world. No matter how their support stays unaffected, we know that countries of liberal democracies have seen enough of atrocities not to justify such actions for Israel to continue as the relationship, the bilateral relationship that it has had before. As per the Palestinians, we have been traumatized and felt left alone, of course, generation to restore the belief in humanity, and to work towards the implementation of the ICJ advisory opinion and the resolution that the Palestinians have submitted in the United Nations General Assembly. And we know that no occupation will last forever, and no tyranny will last forever. We want to save as many lives before we get to the end line and become free and sovereign.
Thank you very much, Mona Abuamara, for your very, very insightful discussion with us. We really thank you for your time, and we would like to connect with you once again. But that's all the time that we have today, so bye for now.
Thank you.
ओके जी, हम अपनी ये जो अब रिपोर्ट है ये अब आपको बता देते हैं। कुछ बड़े दिल दुखाने वाले फैक्ट्स हैं जो मैं अब आपको बताने वाली हूँ। जैसे कि मैंने आपको बताया था कि मैं आपके साथ ये सारा कुछ शेयर करूँगी। 75,000 टन्स ऑफ एक्सप्लोसिव्स जो हैं अभी तक गाजा के ऊपर डाले जा चुके हैं। इसके अंदर जो है 42 मिलियन टन्स का डेब्री जो है वो जमा हो गया हुआ है, और उसके अंदर बहुत सारे अनएक्सप्लोडेड बॉम्ब्स हैं। 34 हॉस्पिटल्स, 80 हेल्थ सेंटर्स सब आउट ऑफ सर्विस हैं। 162 हेल्थ इंस्टीट्यूशंस जो हैं उनको बर्बाद किया है इजराइल ने। 131 एम्बुलेंसेस को उसने बर्बाद किया है, और ये सब का सब जो है अंडर वॉर क्राइम्स आता है जब आप हॉस्पिटल्स और स्कूल्स को हिट करते हैं। इसकी जो बम्बार्डमेंट है कॉन्स्टेंटली इसराइल की, उसकी वजह से 986 मेडिकल वर्कर्स जो हैं उनकी डेथ हो चुकी है, 165 डॉक्टर्स मर चुके हैं, 260 नर्सेज, 184 हेल्थ एसोसिएट, 76 फार्मासिस्ट, 300 सपोर्ट स्टाफ जो है उन सब की डेथ हो गई है। इसके अलावा 175 जर्नलिस्ट जो कि इसको कवर कर रहे थे उनकी डेथ हो चुकी है। वो मोस्टली जो थे वो जर्नलिस्ट थे पैलेस्टाइन से। 1.9 मिलियन लोग जो हैं वो डिस्प्लेस्ड हैं और ये बेचारे कई दफा पिछले 60 साल में डिस्प्लेस हुए हैं। 8,000 टू 10,000 जो सिविलियंस हैं वो मिसिंग हैं। 41,000 पीपल इंक्लूडिंग विमेन एंड किड्स जो हैं उनको मार दिया है इसराइल ने। 10,000 बुरे तरीके से गंभीर अंदाज में जो हैं वो इंजर्ड हैं। अक्टूबर 8 को अभी एक रिपोर्ट आई थी नॉर्वेजियन रेफ्यूजी काउंसिल की, जिसका कि मैंने जिक्र बड़ी दफा किया है। 138,000 लोग जो हैं उनकी अभी तक डेथ्स हो चुकी हैं। 97,590 हर्ट हैं अकॉर्डिंग टू देम। 10,000 आर मिसिंग। 1.9 मिलियन जो है उन्होंने अपने घरों से वो भाग गए हैं। 90% ऑफ द टोटल ये गाजा की पॉपुलेशन बनती है। 60% ऑफ ऑल होम्स, 80% ऑफ कमर्शियल फैसिलिटीज तमाम पूरी तरह से बर्बाद हो चुके हैं। 65% ऑफ द टोटल रोड नेटवर्क खत्म हो गया है। 625,000 स्टूडेंट्स जो हैं उनके पास कोई एक्सेस टू एजुकेशन नहीं है। स्कूल्स को शेल्टर में बनाया गया है मगर उन स्कूल्स को भी जो है कॉन्स्टेंटली बम्बार्ड किया जा रहा है। इसके अलावा 416 एजुकेशन जो स्टाफ है जिसमें कि टीचर्स हैं और दूसरे लोग हैं उनकी डेथ्स हो चुकी हैं। 95% ऑफ स्कूल्स जो हैं उनको डायरेक्टली इजराइल ने हिट किया है। 1 मिलियन किड्स जो हैं उनको इस वक्त मेंटल हेल्थ इश्यूज हैं। 96% ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन जो है उसके पास फूड क्राइसिस है, फूड इनसिक्योरिटी है। 495,000 लोग ये बनते हैं टोटल। 346 बच्चे जो हैं अंडर 5 उनको भी वो भी फेस कर रहे हैं फूड इनसिक्योरिटी। 160,000 प्रेग्नेंट और ब्रेस्ट फीडिंग विमेन जो है उनके पास प्रॉपर जो है फूड नहीं है। 50,000 किड्स जो हैं वो दे आर फेसिंग एक्यूट मैल न्यूट्रिशन। और इसके बावजूद भी कहा जा रहा है कि जी हमास खराब है और हिजबुल्लाह खराब है और ईरान जो है ये सारे ईवल हैं और वो जो मेन ईवल मिडल ईस्ट में बैठा हुआ है उसको थाबड़ा दिया जा रहा है कि वेरी गुड भाई तुम बड़ा अजीम काम कर रहे हो, ये करते रहो। तो ये थी जनाब हमारी इजराइल के ऊपर जो है और पैलेस्टाइन का जो अक्टूबर 7 का पूरा एक साल हुआ था उस पर स्पेशल रिपोर्ट। वी होप के आज की रिपोर्ट जो है आपने सुनी होगी तो आप अपना फीडबैक हमें दे सकते हैं। दिस पार्ट ऑफ द प्रोग्राम इज